I have a question for you. How many times have you left an event and you were disappointed? How many times at an event have you thought to yourself, this room was not curated for me? How many times have you went to an event and you felt like the host was just regurgitating information from Google? These are the things that upset me and my homegirls. And it's conversations like those, and it's me meeting people at events and hearing attendees say things like, I spent my last to get here. I spent my last to get here. And I don't think anybody really understands the weight of that sentence until you too have been so desperate to be in a room that you spend your last to get to said room. And the last thing that that person needs is to be at an event where they're not leaving with any strategy. They're not leaving with any tangible information that is going to be useful for them in the real world. That's a problem. That's a problem. And I'm seeing it happen over and over and over. And I don't think it is event host's fault. I'm a type of person, I'm going to assume positive intent. And I do not think that people are out here hosting, mediocre, subpar events on purpose. I don't believe that at all. I believe that people just don't know what they're doing. Or at least that's what I'm going to believe. Because I refuse to believe that people are on purpose doing some of the things that I have heard and that I have seen at some of these events. And so I want to welcome you to the Events Make Sense podcast. I am Natisha Crockett. I am going to be the one guiding you on this journey of really talking about profitable, purposeful events, because you can do both. You can host a purposeful and you can host a profitable event. You don't have to go broke doing so. You don't have to put on this mediocre experience and have your guests feeling like they've been bamboozled. You don't have to do that either. And so, a little bit about myself. Like I said, I'm Natisha. I say that, I'm an event strategist. I'm a sales expert. I really like to say sales practitioner because I'm always going to be a student to the game. And the thing about titles, though, is that I feel like I can't just sum myself up in a title. So you are going to find out about all the many things that I do as we continue to get to know one another, because I feel like I do so much. I really do. But I'm excited. I am not new to podcasting, but I am back because I finally feel like I am in a space where not only am I in a space, but I feel like I know enough um, when it comes to hosting profitable events. And so I thought, I have so much to share on the topic. Why not just start this podcast and start sharing my thoughts? And so let me just tell you a little bit about me. What makes me reputable to even talk about this, right? So my background is actually in sales. I have been in sales for over a decade at this point. Crazy thing is, once upon a time, I actually thought I hated selling. Come to find out, I just wasn't in the right type of space for sales. So I thrive with consultative sales, where I'm actually helping somebody walk towards an empowered decision. That's my jam. And so when I was in network marketing so long ago, that is when I had my first introduction to events. Because if you are in network marketing, or if you've ever been in network marketing, you know that the conferences and the events are so special. One, they're always trying to get us there, right? And number two, magic happens there. I just remember being a part of a company, and I just remember my mentor saying, like, hey, you need to make sure that you get as many people as you can to this event. And I'm like, why? What is it about this event, right? And it wasn't until I actually went to my first event where I finally understood. There is so much energy. It's magnetic how you feel in these rooms. And so this was my first introduction to, okay, you feeling this way. And then based on that feeling, you're then moving and making a decision. Because at the end of the day, like my mentor said, if you get somebody to an event, 9 times out of 10, they're gonna start doing business with you. And I got people to an events, and that's exactly what happened. So I saw how on a larger scale, these companies are putting on these events. They're showing you a good time. They're inspiring you. They're sharing all of these stories. And then what happens on day 2 or day 3? There's an offer. There is an offer. They are leading you somewhere, right? And so that was my first introduction to, oh, wow, events could be powerful. Like, events could be a powerful way to grow your business. And so when I started, having my own services and promoting my own business, I basically took that same playing card. I started hosting events. And I went from hosting, Lord Jesus, I went from hosting an event where tickets were 2 for $12, the ghetto. Do not recommend. But that was a great event. Tickets were 2 for $12. And the next year, I had elevated in the event space, and I put on a 3-day conference, and tickets went for like 147 and like I think $300 for like VIP. And so I just kept elevating in the actual event space. And it wasn't until the last event that I hosted where I really started to think like, man, there is this role. And at the time, my coach, Jalen Jones, shout out to her, she played a very specific role for me where she actually helped me move people forward into my offers. And I started thinking to myself, like, wow, like what would I do if, she wasn't here to help me kind of move the needle forward, right? Because I'm talking to my audience, like I'm mixing and I'm mingling, like I'm building actual relationships with people that are at my event. All the events that I host, most of the time I don't know people there. So I want to get to know them. I want to, build, be personable. And that, after my last event, that is when I actually launched my company, ElluminateHER, and focusing on providing sales support for other event hosts, because the role that Jalen played for me was so pivotal um, in my event experience. And so ElluminateHER serves as a resource hub for event hosts in terms of selling tickets, marketing your event, and then offering on-site sales support for those who have offers to actually push forward. So those are like some of the things that I do. Okay. Like I said, you're gonna get to know me a lot more throughout these conversations that we're having. But let's get into like why this podcast in particular, like why this conversation, like what is really the issue that I'm seeing in the event space. So I shared with you a little bit about like my first introduction to events, right? Events are not new. events being used as a business strategy, as a way to grow your business, as a lead generation tool, this is not new. People have been doing this for years. And matter of fact, a memory had came back to me not that long ago where I actually remember being under 15. I don't know the exact age, but I remember being with my dad and him taking me to some type of like, I remember being at like some type of seminar type event. And they went through like a PowerPoint, they went through a deck. And then I remember them selling something at the end of this event. And I can't remember how much it was, but it was a lot of money. And it just makes me think that like this was like so many years ago at this point. But like again, events are not new. So we have this strategy that is tried and true, but yet we see a incline in events that are being hosted by, smaller business owners, and they aren't being as fruitful. And that leads us to ask the question of why? What's the issue? Like where's the disconnect? And I think the issue, from what I've seen, from what I have seen, I know what the issue is. The issue is that we are not operating in strategy. So what I have seen in recent years is a lot of people are just hosting events to host events. They're hosting the brunches, they're hosting the conferences with the panels, and they're selling tickets and things like that. But they are not leading their audience to an offer, nor are they leading their audience through a transformation. And so that is where the disconnect is. We're missing the strategy. And the issue with that is that an event should always lead your audience somewhere. And so if you've ever left an event and you left like maybe a little confused, or you left on a high, but then maybe you then felt kind of low, like you were craving for more, right? You shouldn't leave feeling like that. And so I wanted to kind of create this process, create this podcast to give you insight on my perspective coming from somebody who has a sales background, because I'm looking at events through the eyes of conversion. Everything that I do, every strategy that I put in place, everything from the communication to attendees, from events that I am putting on before the main event, everything is with the intent to convert at the end of your event. Like that is where my eye is coming from. And I think and I believe that that is the missing piece from a lot of people's events nowadays. And so if I could just bridge the gap, I want to do that, right? I think it's a win-win situation for everybody, because I'm never going to shame the event host. I'm never going to like just come for the event host, because again, I believe it's just something that people don't know. Okay. And so, who is this podcast for? I think it is for people who are an expert. I think it is for people who are an expert in their field, who are already hosting events, and maybe you've been burned out. Maybe you have hosted an event and you have given it your all your energy, all your tears, all your everything, and you got little to nothing in return, right? That is a frustrating place to be in, to have so much passion about something, to feel so committed to this mission that you have, and you want to, impact lives and change lives. And then you don't get anything in return. That's not fun. That's not fair. That doesn't make you feel good, right? And so it's for the event host that has already hosted some events and they just want to do better. They want more strategy. And this is also for the individuals who are experts in their field. They know that they know how to help their clients and they have been on the fence about hosting an event. Maybe you don't feel like you're confident enough to do so. I'm gonna help you break through those mindset barriers, right? Because one thing that I know is if you are already successful in your industry, in your space where you have clients, events are just such a great way to grow your business, especially for my service providers. Okay. So that is who it's for. It's for women who are already hosting events and just want to get better. And it's for women who are on the fence about hosting events. A little bit about what to expect. On this podcast, we are literally going to be talking about strategy. We're going to talk about how to build rooms that convert, from your guest list, from creating your marketing experience, getting butts in seats. We're going to talk about how to make sure that you are profiting before you even open the doors, how to make money before your event, during your event, and after your event. And then how to do all of this without burning out and going crazy. Because it is so easy to crash out when hosting an event. A lot of the women that I work with, they are a one woman show. And so I've been there, I've done that. And I know what it's like to walk that path. And so that's why it truly is my mission, and what I'm so passionate about is really just creating the resources and the tools and the support that event hosts need. So in the show notes, you will find all the links to all of our resources, from getting butts in seats to making sure that your offer is aligned. All those resources will be in the show notes. But I'm excited. I'm excited, and I am so thankful that you are here on this journey. Um, I love this space. I love women. And I just think that powerful things happen when we are in the same rooms together, when we create together. And so I am honored to be able to take you on this journey of creating purposeful and profitable events. Because if you're going to host, you got to make it make sense. Okay? So I will see you on the next episode. Bye.